I was tired of this inward journey. And so I realized that I learned how to trust in myself. And once you trust in yourself, you want to go outside. So I started to just buy like store-bought materials. This is my inflatable bunny and inflatable flower. This would be from 1978. I moved to the city in 76, and I was still painting, and I was making different works that eventually came off the wall. I ended up by 78 making something like the inflatable bunny and flower. But they're store-bought mirrors, 12 by 12 mirrors. I'd buy at a hardware store. I would prop them up against the wall. I bought these inflatable objects, the bunny and the flower, and I would just sit them there. But they were so strong and really intoxicating for me, because when you would move around, it really affirms the viewer. And I realized everything was really dependent on me. And you have this 3D interaction with the object, but you also have this 2D reflection taking place. And so aspects of metaphysics are taking place of time, because they're almost in a different time. Everything you have the now with your own movement, but the reflection is in slightly a different time. So after working with these inflatables, by 1980, I was working at the Museum of Modern Art. And at MoMA, I had the opportunity every day to go through the collection. I'd be around Guernica, or I'd be looking at all the new shops in the Man Ray's. The architecture design department had a big influence on me. But I really wanted to contribute something to the idea of the ready-made. So I thought about just displaying objects for their newness. So I started a series of work called The New. And so this vacuum cleaner is a little bit, if you look at art history, and think kind of like a Renaissance art or early Christian art, this is like an eternal virgin. It's brand new, it just unboxed, it's never participated in the world, and I would just assemble the piece and put it in this industrial display case that I would create, and it's sealed there. And there's also this role going back and forth between the masculine and the feminine. You know, you could look at it, and the vacuum cleaner bag there could be like a womb. Or if you look at it and reflect on it, it could be kind of masculine, and it could be like kind of a scrotum sac. So this idea of going back and forth is very important to me, because, you know, it's about communicating and having a dialogue with everyone, because if art segregates through sex, you've lost half your audience, and you've lost half the dialogue. And if you think of ancient Greek art and the idea of beauty, the more beautiful something becomes, the more the sexes merge. When Hercules reaches a higher state of a godlike presence, he's more feminine. And so this is always taking place with the beauty of the world, and really what it means to be human. This was a triple-decker. This would again be around 1980, 1982. And if you look on the side of these vacuum cleaner pieces, I was trying to see how to work this as far as a pointer. There it is. If you look right there on the side, it says wet dry. And so the wet dry, I really enjoyed Kierkegaard. And so the wet dry is existentialism. It's either or. It's being and nothingness. And so I wanted to create an ultimate state of being, a state of newness. It's about this confrontation. You go up and you confront the object, and you know it's in a way better prepared for one form of the eternal to survive. It's just displaying its integrity of birth. It's brand new. Whereas an individual, we develop our integrity through participating. But this idea of a wet dry, either or, it's really relating to philosophy. After creating the new, I went on and I wanted to create another body of work, and everything's a ready-made that we're looking at. Those vacuum cleaners are ready-made, the basketball here, the fish tank, the aquarium, everything's ready-made. But I wanted to create another body of work and deal with an ultimate state of being, something that the viewer would desire to obtain. But at the same time, to have it have more masculine colors, and to be more biological. And this is a one-ball total equilibrium tank. very metaphysical piece because, you know, it's this moment, but it's also, you know, it's pre-birth and it's also after death. It's in a state of equilibrium. The ball is just hovering there. And it's too light to go to the bottom, but it's too heavy to go to the top. And I worked with Dr. Richard P. Feynman, the Nobel Prize winner. I called him up and I would tell him, oh, I want to create permanent equilibrium. I want to have this basketball just hover in a tank permanently. And he'd say, Jeff, you can do it. So, you know, I feel like I had the opportunity to study with Feynman for a while because I was growing up. He was out in California. And, but within the confines and the purity that I wanted to create my tanks, I wasn't able to do it. But I really got a lesson in physics. And I would try to create density gradients and realize exactly how everything would work. But to have it be in a permanent situation, I need a density gradient much greater than I could get in this confine. And the liquid that has the greatest density gradient would be a silicon oil, but I could not do it within this confines. But it's very, very pure. I wanted the viewer to look at it and say, you know, I want equilibrium. I want all the forces in life to be equal. I want this kind of eternal state of pre-birth and after death, and the desire. And I would have also 50-50 tanks. This is in my an exhibition, Equilibrium body of work. And if you look just back to the vacuum cleaners, the wet dry. Here you have half the tank filled with water, half is empty. Exactly half the basketball is submerged below the water and half's on top of the water. And if you walk around this tank, the sides of the tank would become mirrors. The way light, the index of refraction would go through the water, it would actually create mirrors. Again, we're back to Kierkegaard and Sartre, back to philosophy. This is a 3-ball 50-50 tank. I also made 3-ball total equilibriums. But these 3-ball tanks would always be, for me, like the beginning of a thought pattern, because due to the way the molecules move in the water, the ions, you'll have the balls drifting and changing positions all the time, whether the sun's coming up or setting or the vibrations within the room. And it's almost like the development of a thought pattern. So there's a very strong biological aspect taking place within this work, even though we're dealing with the idea of the objective, which is always seen as external, and it is external because it's about going outside your body and having interest in things outside yourself. This is one of my sirens of the Equilibrium show. This is Moses. It's Moses Malone. And the Red Sea is parting, and some of the balls you can see are in equilibrium. But he was there as a siren, kind of as a great deceiver, saying, look, I've achieved equilibrium. You can achieve it too. Go for it. You can do it. Go for it. And he was kind of playing this kind of star type of role there to get people who desire the equilibrium. Then they have the siren pull them in to go for it. And then a tool for equilibrium would be like the aqualung. And the aqualung is one of my first cast objects that I made. It's ready-made. I would make a mold of it, cast it in bronze. But if you went for the equilibrium and you put the aqualung on, it would take you under and try to drown you, basically. If you could decide that, hey, I want to save myself and get it off your back and resurface, and you'd find the lifeboat. And you would think you found your salvation, but the lifeboat would take you right back under. It weighs about 2,000 pounds. So the Equilibrium show was really trying to communicate that there is no kind of ultimate state, that it's about going for it. And the equilibrium wasn't permanent, but it's about going for it in life. There is no salvation, no ultimate state. Moses Malone, the different Nike poster basketball players that I had there in the exhibition as sirens, they were like art stars. And they were like artists acting as if they kind of achieved something and they're making something great. But everything was trying to communicate that it's about going for it. It's not about achieving anything, but striving. After the Equilibrium show, I made a body of work called Luxury and Degradation. And luxury and degradation really deals with abstraction and the pursuit of luxury. Everything in the viewer's essence and the viewer's transcendence, and everything was about the viewer, so it completely freed me. And everything from that point on looks like a ready-made object, has the familiarity of a ready-made, but something that I constructed from montage or collage. This is ushering in banality. I always thought it was a little autobiographical that I'm in the back kind of pushing that pig as a kid. And that I didn't really care what people thought about, what I was doing with my art. It was kind of this idea of I have kind of a spiritual authority on my side, kind of like God's on my side, in ushering in banality. Because I felt that in communicating to people that their backgrounds, their cultural background, their history is perfect. Everything about them is perfect. Everything's about this moment forward. That I needed to have this aspects of spiritual authority mixed through the exhibition, so people would have the confidence to go along with just what their history is. That if they like pink for pink, it's perfect. It's all right. There are no hierarchies. There's no judgment. It's about the removal of judgment. This was Woman in the Tub. My grandparents always had a little ashtray. It was only about 5 inches long. And when I would be 3, 4, I'd go to my grandparents' house. I always played with this ashtray. And it was a woman lying down on the couch, and her legs were up in the air on this part of the ashtray. And if you put a cigarette here, supposedly the heat and the smoke from the cigarette would make her legs go back and forth. But, I would play with this ashtray all the time. But that ashtray, that excitement, that interest, there is no difference from the quality of transcendence that that ashtray can give to somebody than that the Pieta can. There is no hierarchical difference. You could say that some people can look within the history of art and give different reasons for appreciation for it, but how it performs for the viewer, there's no difference. And so I'm trying to reference back within myself, to degradation. And it was for the intoxicating quality of the stainless. It's a proletarian material. I had no desire to work in platinum or silver, sterling silver, nothing like that. I really wanted to work in a proletarian material, a material that, worst comes to worst, you could melt down and you could make a spoon or a fork to eat off of. This is not about real luxury. There is no desire for that luxury. It's a desire to try to communicate and understand it, that you have to maintain your economic and political chips. That society tries to set you up, they'll take you to your limit, that you try to gain as much political and economic means, but then they'll come in and try to take it away from you. They'll set up for degradation. And I was paralleling in this body of work the demise of an alcoholic, the degradation of an alcoholic. So everything was based on alcohol, from this poor man's decanter, which was just a bucket, a liquid measurement bucket, to a symbol of the middle class. I had the Jim Beam J.B. Turner train. And I was walking down Fifth Avenue, and I saw this plastic and porcelain train in a liquor store. And I thought, this would be a wonderful ready-made object. And what I really had interest in was the soul of the work. And the soul of the work is the alcohol. And the tax stamp seal, which would be like right around the neck of the smokestack there, or if you lift up the log, it would be right here, or on the barrel car. You slide open the door of the box car, this tax stamp seal's there, and that's the interface to the soul. So it was how to take this plastic porcelain piece, put it into this very intoxicating material, bring it to a polish, that the room is upside down, and creates a sense of desire. And at the meantime, have the alcohol still be in the piece. So I contacted Jim Beam, and I worked with them. I cast the pieces. Then I go down to Kentucky to the plant. They would fill it up with the bourbon and the tax stamp seal back on. So this piece is 7/5 of bourbon. wanted the viewer to have the same desire as the alcoholic may have for the piece, but if you break the seal, you destroy it as a work of art. And there were, paintings, and these are ready-made paintings. I received all the original separations from the advertising companies that made these original ads, and I would go back to the printers and print these on canvas in high oil-based inks. So we've gone up on an income level here, and now bottles start to become like buildings. The Empire State of Scotch Doers, it's like the Empire State Building. So we're dealing with a higher income level and a higher kind of dose of abstraction and intoxication. Going up through the economic levels, at the very top level, I made an artwork called Baccarat Crystal Set. And so it's a Baccarat set, a ready-made set that I molded and cast in stainless steel and polished it. And the advertising at this level was Frangelica ads. And in the Frangelica ads, there is no interaction anymore with society, with other people. The person is just kind of lost within their own mind. They're having a thought like, stay in tonight. And you can see maybe there's a little sexualization in the wave, but this is all kind of back into internal thought. There's really no interaction with the world anymore. For some reason, that image, I'll go back and see. That's the rabbit, but for some reason it has lines across it. After making the luxury and degradation body of work, I did another body of work called statuary. I'll try one more time for this image. I don't know why. Okay. But so I did the statuary work was when I did my rabbit, and in but it discouraged me. But in Pennsylvania, people put gazing balls in their yard. So when I would grow up and I would go down the road, I would see like a gazing ball in a bird bath, and that was always a symbol of generosity to me. And so in 1988, when Ileana Sonnabend gave me an opportunity to show with her gallery, I made this body of work called Statuary because I knew I'd have a new audience, people that, I was always kind of an underground artist showing alternative spaces, but that I would really have a different international audience. So I wanted to show my history of working with the ready-made. The first image we looked at was an inflatable rabbit. So I cast this rabbit in stainless steel, and it was one of 10 different pieces that I made for her. But I was making that piece to reflect on my history of working with the ready-made and this aspect of generosity that I would find in the gazing balls in people's yards. Because if you look at the head of the rabbit, it's really just like a gazing ball. After making that body of work, I was asked by Casper Koenig, an art historian, to be in a really important exhibition that happens once every 10 years in Munster, Germany. And it's a site-specific exhibition. It invites about 10 artists to come to Munster. You create a site-specific sculpture. And so he invited me, and I went to Munster, and in Town Square, they have a piece called the Kipping Girl. And it's a bronze sculpture. It's this is the Kipping Girl I made in stainless steel. But it's in bronze, the same image. You have a man going to market with a kip on his back, a basket filled with potatoes, eggs, he has pigeons, hair, tobacco. And it's really a soul in the white and the outline, the dark outline, the makeup outlines. But he was there to be able to give people the confidence to go with banality. After making the banality work, I made my Made in Heaven work. And this is a marble sculpture. It's referencing different Baroque works, but I went and I saw the Masaccio's Expulsion of Adam and Eve, the painting, and I wanted to make a body of work that continued to reference the removal of guilt and shame of anyone's history, their cultural past, just their past in general completely. And at the same time, I realized that the body is a vehicle that really creates a lot of guilt and shame with people. So with the main heaven work, I really wanted to focus with the body, and just that people accept their own body, they accept nature, they accept their creation, they accept the eternal aspects of the body, the idea of the life leapfrogging at the same time to have a dialogue about the very ephemeral realm of the eternal through ideas. That sculpture was kind of a sculpture based on Hunan sculpture, The Kiss. I don't know if you've ever seen The Kiss, but it's by Hunan, and so I referenced that. I made it more Baroque, but I always enjoy these internal kind of references to other forms of celebration series. I started the Boondog in 1994, and it was the first time that I started to give a transparent coloring to stainless steel, and that coloring gives it a deeper kind of internal life. Just my polished stainless steel pieces, they reflect the environment, but right away the reflection bounces right off. It really doesn't have so much depth underneath there. But as soon as I would start to make these colored surfaces have more depth. So, the balloon dog, even though it's a dog, it also has an equestrian aspect to it. I always think of this a little bit like a Trojan horse. It has that kind of internal aspect to it. It's also very kind of ritualistic. And if you look at it, you could think of kind of a primitive society, maybe looking at some intestines or something lying there from after a kill or something, and realizing that we can make kind of a ritualistic object out of this. They see the gases are starting to expand, and so it has this aspect of connectivity to a more primitive time. This is a work called Play-Doh, and I have 8 children, and my one son, I remember bringing